Most people spend their entire lives trying to make money, but very few actually become wealthy. And the reason is simple. It's not because they don't work hard. It's because they don't understand how money actually works. See, money is not just about earning more. It's a game, with rules. And if you don't know the rules, you'll keep playing, but you'll never win. There are a few core principles that separate people who stay stuck from those who build real wealth. Let's start with the first one. Money loves speed, but wealth loves time. In the beginning, most people chase fast money. Quick wins. Instant results. And honestly, it feels good. You see cash coming in, you feel like you're making progress. But here's the trap. Fast money doesn't always turn into long-term wealth. Imagine two people. One person keeps flipping opportunities again and again. Quick profit, quick exit. The other person makes one solid decision, and just holds it. At first, the first person looks smarter, more active, more successful. But years later, the second person quietly wins. Why? Because wealth is built through compounding. And compounding only works with time. This is where most people get it wrong. They confuse fast action with fast results. Taking action quickly is important, but expecting instant rewards is where people lose. The real game is simple. Make good decisions, and give them time to grow. Because time is the most powerful asset you have. Now once you understand that, the next question becomes, who actually benefits from that time? And this brings us to the second rule. The person who gives the money has the power. Think about it. Employees trade time for money. But owners, they own assets. And assets grow over time. That's why the biggest wealth in the world isn't built through salaries. It's built through ownership. The richest people don't just work for money. They make money work for them. They buy businesses. They build systems. They own things that continue to grow, even when they're not working. And here's the important part. You don't need millions to start thinking like this. Because wealth doesn't start with money. It starts with mindset. Once you begin to think like an owner, your entire approach changes. Now let's move to the third rule, and this is where things get interesting. Leverage multiplies everything. Leverage is one of the most misunderstood concepts in money. Some people think it's dangerous. Some people avoid it completely. But the truth is, leverage is a tool. And like any tool, it can either build your future or destroy it. Used correctly, it allows you to do more with less. For example, two people invest in the same opportunity. One uses only their own money. The other uses smart leverage. Same deal. Same growth. But completely different outcomes. Why? Because leverage amplifies results. This is what wealthy people understand. They don't just rely on effort. They use systems, tools, and strategies to multiply their returns. But here's the key. Leverage doesn't create success. It magnifies what's already there. If your foundation is strong, leverage accelerates growth. If it's weak, leverage speeds up failure. That's why understanding comes before scaling. Now let's talk about something that confuses a lot of people. Cash flow versus equity. Cash flow is the money you use to live. It pays your bills, your lifestyle, your day-to-day needs. It's important. You need it. But cash flow alone won't make you wealthy. Because wealth is built through equity. Equity is ownership. It's the part of something that grows in value over time. This could be a business. It could be investments. It could be assets that increase in worth. The difference is simple. Cash flow helps you survive. Equity gives you freedom. And most people spend their entire lives chasing cash flow, without ever building equity. That's why they stay stuck. Now here's where the real game begins. The concept of asymmetric opportunities. In simple terms, you want situations where your downside is limited, but your upside is massive. Where you risk a little, but you can gain a lot. This is how real wealth is created. Not by playing safe all the time, but by playing smart. However, and this is very important, this does not mean taking reckless risks. because that leads to the biggest mistake people make. Going all in on one opportunity. It doesn't matter how good something looks. It doesn't matter who recommended it. If you risk everything on one bet, you're not investing. You're gambling. And gambling eventually catches up with everyone. The goal is not to win once. The goal is to stay in the game long enough to win consistently. Protect what you've built. Because once you lose everything, starting again is much harder. And finally, diversification. You've probably heard people say, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." But here's the truth. Diversification is not always the goal. It's actually protection against not knowing what you're doing. When you don't understand something, spreading your risk makes sense. But when you deeply understand something, that's where focus creates wealth. The most successful people don't randomly spread their efforts. They go deep into what they understand. So the real question is not, should you diversify? The real question is, do you actually understand what you're investing in? Because if you don't, you're just hoping things work out. And hope is not a strategy. At the end of the day, money is not complicated. But it is misunderstood. If you chase speed without patience, you lose. If you work without ownership, you stay stuck. If you use leverage without understanding, you risk everything. But if you learn the rules, and play the game the right way, you stop working for money. And slowly, money starts working for you. And that's the difference between staying busy and becoming truly wealthy.